I'm really excited to welcome Julie Gearie, and we're basing the chat around how to de-stress as a CEO. But let's go back to the beginning. Hello, how are you anyway? Sorry.
I'm great, Chris.
That's good. Let's go back to when we first met and we started training.
5+ years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is when stop.
Oh.
Do we can this be edited? Do I just talk? Do I just go blah blah blah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it gets edited.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was your question again?
Just when we first started, just what was the reason to start working with us, Sculpt and Flow?
Yeah, I do recall that it was at a particular point in time 5+ years ago. It was during COVID, so something else that COVID did for me was to really push me in that direction. Yeah. There was a bit of a perfect storm of things happening at the time. Obviously owning a business and dealing with the impact of what COVID could potentially do to us as a business, and I guess factoring in the impact on staff, on clients. And then in April 2020, I lost my mum suddenly, and a couple of weeks later I lost my dad.
That's right.
And it was a little bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And sorry, a little bit emotional as well, but
no, you're fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it made me reprioritize things and think about my future. And yeah, it made me think about my health and wellness, and was actually my husband was going to a gym and he spotted you.
That's right. I remember you mentioned
that.
Yeah.
And you were training another lady, and I think he observed the way that you were interacting with her and thought that I'd probably get along quite well with you.
Awesome. And well, you know, and just back to that year, I mean, that's huge, right? You know, just both parents, COVID kicking off, which was a challenging time. And, you know, that's, you spoke about that. I remember when you brought that up, and, you know, I'd like to say, I think with the training that we were doing, I think that kind of helped you as well. Just, you know, you're dealing with those emotions, you know, and I do laugh that, you know, I can laugh now, but at the time we, you know, when all the gyms shut down, we were, you know, pushed outside, weren't we?
We were down the rail sheds.
We were, and we could talk about that. We know we were outside, using what we could, right, to the best that was available at the time, because the restrictions were tight, and it was a crazy time. But due credit to you, you kept it up. You kept that going. You know, you didn't falter, and that's. And I'll bring it up at the end of the pod, but it's one of the things that you've done well, is your consistency is next level. You know, you've been really able to maintain those standards and those habits throughout, and you know, getting the results from that. You know. Yeah.
I think what I found even early on when I started with you and dealing with the challenges that I had at that particular time, is that it was a release. And training early in the morning with you, it just set me up for the day, and it was a release, and I was able to approach the day with clear thinking.
Nice.
I felt as though I was a better person, not just for me, but for others as well.
Yeah. And I joke about that when at the start of a session, especially early in the morning, when people aren't their brightest, they haven't got that energy, because you're still waking up, right? And then at the end of the session, you're revitalised, you've got these endorphins kicking in. And I always think that's got to help you, exactly your day, your colleagues, your partner, you know, whoever you're working around, they benefit from that, right? And it's and I think also too, which, you know, you're getting it out of the way, aren't you? You're getting out of the way today, because you're going to find through your day, you know, especially you. I mean, you're such a busy person. You're going to have stuff just thrown at you, and Nothing against working out in the afternoons, but geez, if you can get it out of the way, right?
Absolutely. If it doesn't happen first thing, it's probably not going to happen.
Yep.
And for me, it starts the night before as well. So
nice.
I often get a text from you, just confirming that I'll be there, which is great. Or at the beginning of the week, just sort of committing to my week of training, and I appreciate that. And then before I go to bed, just setting everything out. Yep. Like my shoes, I even put my socks in my shoes.
Yeah, great. That's good though.
Put my clothes out, and I'm up and ready to go.
But it shows you how much you prioritise that, right? That's you take that. And I think if a lot of people could take from that, a lot of our listeners just take that as, I think when it comes to health and fitness, your health, you've got to prioritise it. It can't be, I'm sure, we think of work and we think of family and everything else, but I think your health, you've got to take priority, and you do that well, and you always have. And for the whole time we've been training, you just keep that priority there. And and I'm sure, leading into my next question, how do you deal with that as a CEO? I mean, how does that, because you know what, just on that, can you just give us a breakdown on what you do, and what is a typical day involve for you?
A typical day, well, I'm not sure that there is a typical day, because there's, you're working with a range of clients and a range of priorities that constantly shift.
Yep.
But a typical day would be dealing with a pretty full inbox.
Yeah,
So try and get on top of that.
Yep.
It's getting the training out of the way first thing as well, which absolutely helps. Coming into the office, being positive and being present for the team.
Nice. As
well.
Yeah.
Because everyone has their stuff.
Yeah.
And I want the team to feel as though work can be a safe space as well. Yeah. So, I really want to be present and there for them. And often I'm in and I'm out, and lots of meetings and decisions and troubleshooting and problem solving, and probably not much different to most other people.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's a lot. Typically it's a late finish as well. I'm lucky I've got a great husband that keeps me fed and nourished when I finally get home. So
absolutely. Shout out to Paul. Absolutely.
Shout out to Paul. He takes the chef responsibilities Monday to Thursday, and then I take responsibilities over the weekend. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Can I ask you just on that? So we train 4 times a week?
4 times a week, yeah. On
that day you don't train, how does that impact your day? So you were saying before, so when you leave the studio, you've got those endorphins kicking and you're feeling great.
Yeah.
That day you don't train. Do you find it's any different to your working day, how you interact with people, how you lead?
So the day I don't train, I usually walk Rosie, the dog.
Yeah. Shout out to Rosie.
I usually make sure that I get a really good walk in.
Yep.
It is different though. I mean, training and doing, particularly with weights and really challenging yourself mentally and physically, sets you up differently for the day. So I'm very conscious of the fact that I probably don't bring the same level of energy into the day as what I do the other days when I'm training.
And just on that, we should probably just give the listeners a recap on what do you do. So what is a typical training week with you with Sculpt and Flow?
So Monday is a core group. Yep. So it's a very small session with, sometimes there's maybe 3 or 4 of us. Other times there's been up to 10.
Nice.
And it's fun in the group sessions. So the focus is around core strength. So lots of different rotating activities to do with that. Tuesday is my PT session with you.
Awesome.
And that's always lots of fun. Great challenges in terms of the weights. So you're very excited to throw heavy stuff at me.
No.
Yes. But we have good chats too.
We do.
Yeah. So, thinking about even just this week, we did touch on the rugby a little bit, but you shut that down very quickly.
Yeah.
We had a chat about gut
I was about
health.
to give a shout out to the All Blacks then, but no.
Oh, I know. Yeah. So yeah, we talked about gut health.
Yeah.
Which is great. We talked about, so you're very mindful of my back as well. So my lower back and a history of lower back issues, and just tailoring everything I'm doing to ensure that my back is protected when I am working with weights or doing a particular exercise. So yeah, Tuesdays are fun. Wednesday, oh look, I hate to say it, but it's probably my least favourite day, but it's so important. It's cardio.
Yeah.
And so it's those dreaded,
and high intensity too. It's like this, we're not strolling around, are we? It's
it's the shuttle runs, it's the sled.
Yeah.
It's the mountain climbers and burpees.
All the above.
Yeah. Again, a group session and lots of fun. Yeah. And Friday is I look forward to Fridays. It's about strength and weights, and the age that I am now. So I'm in my 50s, and certainly for me, I'm enjoying the weights more. I know how important that is for bone strength and muscle development, and yeah, it's important sort of to remain functional as I get older.
Yeah, I love you bring that up. I mean, you spoke before about just taking away that energy from a session and then working with your team and leading by taking that leadership role up and then just providing that energy for your staff. But you just touched on that. I mean, we do touch on gut health and bone density, which is important to recognise that. And you've been great at that. You understand it's not just about the aesthetics, right? You've great. That's a byproduct of what we're doing with strength training, but I love that you know that intrinsic part of just bone density and lean tissue and staying strong, right? Which is important. So you've got that general understanding of just past the aesthetics, right? Which is which is good.
Yeah. It's been really important and something that I talk to even my daughter about, who she's in Emma.
Yeah. Shout out Emma.
Shout out to Emma. So I think Emma very early on saw the change in me when I started training, and she then started coming along.
She did.
Had some, great times with Bex doing Pilates and a lot of that core strength, but she'd come along to the group sessions during the week, and I often talk to her about the importance of taking care of yourself early, and because you're doing it now, but you're doing it for longevity.
Love that.
Yeah.
And love that you're showing leadership. There you go, right? It's not just through with your staff, but just treating that situation, well, as you would with your child, right? That's showing her the importance of that, and she's looking up to you and just seeing, she'll be watching from the sidelines, watching you getting up, had she's done for years before that, getting up early, coming out to wherever we were training at the time when COVID, or coming out to the studio, just seeing that discipline required, and she'd always come with you.
Yeah.
Some days she wasn't overly happy about it. I remember some of the earlies, especially when it was wet. Remember that.
Yeah.
But she did it right. She stayed consistent with it, and now she's learnt those skills, no doubt.
Absolutely.
And those steps required to continue on, which is what you want to do. So.
Yeah, that's right. And it's addictive, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The days that I don't get to train for whatever reason, whether I'm away for work, I feel a bit grumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm grumpy, I think, with myself as well.
You're right.
That I just haven't been able to, get to my session or do what I need to do. And certainly I don't feel as though I'm set up for success that day.
Even with a walk, because you're saying on those days, does that walk give you that same?
Oh, look,
I think I know the answer to that.
Yeah, no, not really. No. Yeah. It's enough. Rosie's happy, but
but and because you mentioned those before, and you got 3 days, pretty intense there. So I think that Thursdays, it's as much as you don't want to hear it, but it's a nice break, just to deload before you.
Maybe.
But it just gives you the chance to, and I think that's why. I mean, when you come to those Friday, so we do strength classes on a Friday morning, and there's a lot of progressive overload, so just getting the guys to build up their weight and get stronger with the weight, and I think you do that well. But I think a big part of that is because you've had a little break, between that Wednesday and Friday.
Yeah. I mean, I know you often comment that Fridays the group tend to push themselves a little bit more, we're picking up some decent weights.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because at the end of the week, or everyone's had that little break, but I think that it is I think it's, it's the Friday is, people do walk into the class with a bit of a smile, and they, maybe because it's a Friday, but also you're not having to push a sled around, or you're not,
that's right. That's
doing
right.
box jumps, that's probably the common denominator there.
Yeah. And I hear you often say on a Friday, set yourself up for the weekend. Yep. So true.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And and we do encourage that, that break over that Saturday, Sunday, which is what a weekend can provide. But yeah, you're right. It's just, and when I do say to everyone, just set yourself up, and you can just see the intensity raise, everyone's just like, okay, let's just give this an extra nudge, which is great with strength, because if your goal is to get strong, we need to just keep bumping up the weights, and easier said than done. When you plateau on some of the weights, or some of the whatever exercise you're doing is just too difficult, too heavy. But you keep chipping away at it, and as you've done, I mean, that's in the time we've been training. What I've noticed with you, which is great, is your strength increase, and that's with. And I should mention, as Julie said before, just a lower back injury, so she has to be careful, a lot of forward flexion. But she's been able to navigate that through different exercises and get stronger as well, which is great, because when a lot of our guys have an injury, and anyone has an injury, or there's a weakness there, a lot of people tend to guard it, don't they? And they just aren't prepared to push it because it's scary. You're scared you're going to injure that part or continue that. That weakness.
Yes.
Your guards, your sensors are up, aren't they? Just say, don't push it anymore because you're going to get worse. And, and in fact, we don't want to do that. We want to ensure that you absolutely keep moving forward, and you've done that.
And I guess I've done that because you've always made me feel as though, you've always said turn up.
Yep.
Like just turn up, and we'll just deal with what we're dealing with at the time.
Yeah.
So I've always felt very comfortable and safe to be able to do that.
Yeah, good. And that's true. I mean, it's just, we do have a policy at the studio that, the only time you don't turn up is if you're coughing and spluttering, right? So any other time, just get there.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, if you're just not feeling it that morning, but you've made the effort to get there, as you said, we can turn it around. And
absolutely.
And you find it, you do that first exercise. It might be using a really light weight or body weight only, but then you think, you know what, give me something heavier. And then you're back on it, compared to if you decided that I'm not going to turn up today because, for whatever excuse you've got. And that's what people do, they don't, allow themselves to think, I can get through this unless you're coughing and spluttering, let's work with this. And then 9 times out of 10, you leave the studio, don't you, or whatever.
Yeah.
The end of the program does, feeling.
Oh, not once have I ever left and said, I wish I didn't come.
Yeah. Yeah, it's powerful.
You always, walk out with your chin up and
It's endorphins, right? Those neurotransmitters. Your body just wants to. It's just felt this pain, and it's like, you know what? Send all these messages out. Just make it better, you know. And people do walk away just from a class or a session, just feeling in a good space. And I think, as you said before, and you carry that on into your day, don't you? You carry it on to your family, and then you go to your workspace, and you're just nice to be around, aren't you? I just think, generally speaking, I think you are. You know, it's a great, as we said, it's a great way to de-stress, isn't it?
Yeah,
you've managed to do that with her, as I said, with her.
And something that I've heard you again say often, you get to a point during the session, and particularly in those group sessions on a Wednesday, and you'll start at some point to say, now it's about the mental game.
Yeah.
And I feel as though you're training that big muscle inside your scalp, your brain. You're training that as well, and it really does, create resilience, and you feel as though you can face anything. Totally.
Well, it's all there, isn't it? The engine room, we call it, right? It's self-talk, isn't it? It's just being in a position to. And I'm all about just talking, just sending positive messages. If it's vocally to yourself, just saying, we've got this, we can do this, we can get up, we can push this to good effect. And I think a lot of people struggle with that exactly. They haven't got that mindset to push on through. And I think because of our sessions can be quite intense, we encourage it to be intense. That's what tests your adversity, doesn't it? Your body's response to the pressure that it's feeling, and I know it's easier said than done. The sessions probably feel like they're going on forever. They probably drag on. I know what you're going to say.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, the final round, one more round. Yeah, it doesn't exist.
And I can see the guys haunched over, just struggling with it, but we get there in the end, But what that does is, as you said, it just builds that mental.
It does.
Crazy mental resilience, doesn't it? And I think to deal with, if you can deal with, doing an extra set of burpees or an extra sled push or whatever, that when you do go into the big crazy wide world, you can, and stress gets thrown at you, which it does, right?
Yes.
You're just in a better position to manage it, aren't you?
Oh, you are, for sure.
Big time.
Yeah.
Hey, just quickly too, just how do you feel you've gotten on with just bumping up the weights and that improvements generally? Speaking, the time you've been training with us.
Sorry, the question.
Just with the weight. So are there any exercises or any? Do you feel like you've improved with a lot of the exercises and a lot of?
Yeah, certainly my strength.
Yep.
Thinking back to when we first started training together, and you were handing me, 4 and 5 kilo weights, and they were heavy.
Yep.
And now you're handing me, 12 and 15s, and they are heavy. Don't get me wrong, they're terrifying. But I'm giving it a go, and I feel so much stronger.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's my goal moving forward, just to maintain that strength.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And with your back as well, just bringing that back into it as well.
Yeah.
The fact you can still keep it protected and guard around that best you can. So
definitely.
Good. Well, I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming in today. I appreciate you doing that, and
it's an absolute honour to do it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.